Welcome to the Kid and Drag Gaming Podcast. This is Kid.
And this is Drag. Remember, if you're enjoying the content, go check us out on our socials. Follow us so we post our latest updates. On Instagram, you can look for us at Kid in Drag. On Facebook, same thing, Kid in Drag. If you're follow us on Twitter, go for Drag Kid In. Also, check out our website at kidindrag.chat. You can find all of our latest episodes. All of our stuff is out there. You can contact us. We can get direct feedback from you and help you get the content you want to hear. Now, let's talk about all the stuff you want to talk about. And today we're going to talk to you a little bit about Borderlands 3, or a lot. After our first week of gameplay, given our reviews and opinions, and we're going to finish up with a little bit of the hot patches on there. So, Kid, why don't you give us the first impressions you had after putting in some serious hours, grinding up a couple different characters, and tell me what your overall thoughts are about the game.
Absolutely beautiful. I love the changes in the game, everything they've done, the new combat style. The AI is definitely improved. Overall, definitely an improvement from Borderlands 2 and 1. I definitely look forward to the future updates and all that good stuff that's coming out.
Yeah, absolutely. Like I get into diving in and playing. You know, you get the same feel, but obviously the graphics are there. It's super snappy and responsive. I love the gameplay style. It's true Borderlands through and through, but it is complicated. Like, no doubt. The gameplay's simple. Don't get me wrong. You can sit down, play it, start enjoying it within minutes of dialing into it. No big deal. No question. So not complicated in that way, but complicated to start finding out, hey, what do you got to go do? What guns do you keep? And as always, as true with any Borderlands, like you're kind of playing along there through the first 20 levels going, I don't know. I don't really like these guns. I want to try this. Maybe I like this style. And then the craziness starts hitting, right?
Yeah, they definitely improved, though, how many guns you get off the rip. Like, I was getting legendaries around 13, I believe.
Uh-huh.
And just with that in itself, I remember the prior ones, though, like, it just seemed like forever before you even started seeing any halfway decent guns. So I definitely like that improvement a lot.
Yeah, there's definitely, I mean, you definitely got a good feel for it. You got the multi-firing mode guns, which are not just like, it's not rapid fire versus single fire or anything like that. Like, it completely changes the dimensions of the gun, right? It turns a sniper into a shotgun, or, you know, an ice pistol into an atomic weapon, right? There's so many different variations, but yeah, you do get a good sampling of that right off the rip, so you can kind of get a feel for the diversity of guns they have.
Oh yeah, like you said, switching the scopes. You could do bullets and then sticky bullets that blow up. Changing the elements of the gun, that was very early in the game, so it was nice to experience that and see that change. So definitely love that stuff.
For sure. So how many hours do you think you got in all said and done in the first week or so?
Man, I was only able to knock out about 20 hours worth, and the problem is I started off with Flack and got him up to like 15 or 16.
Mhm.
And that was my boy right off the rip that I was going to go and power to 50. But man, he really wasn't my play style. I was like, this kind of seems like a sit back and snipe kind of guy while the pet keeps everything busy. So I switched over to Moe's, and that was definitely more of my get in the middle, get nasty with everything, drop the mech down, start dropping some serious bombs. Yeah, I definitely like Moe's a lot.
Yeah, and that's a good way to take this, because I think the play characters make a lot of difference. And out of this episode, I'm going to definitely have to say the girls won it, right? I think the two female characters in the game absolutely bring the hammer down out of all the characters combined. When you've got the Siren and you've got Mose, the mech gunner, those two just absolutely have the DPS that's unbelievable.
Yeah, the Siren, I think Layden was playing Siren, and man, she would just get up there and drop some serious bombs on some people. I was like, man, maybe I should have went with the Siren, but I definitely like Moe's though.
Yeah. I think Mose is the gunner. The Siren is the melee, right? You know, I know he was maxing out the melee parts of the class and whatnot. So pretty freaking amazing either way, but those two were definitely the ones that are going in and dealing DPS. I went with Zane myself. Don't regret it. Have a good time playing with them. There's a lot of kill ratios that stack with guns, and your clip switching and your weapon switching start speeding up as you go along. So he's definitely like a gunner, but still not a right up in your face. He's not the melee expert by any means of the word.
Right, absolutely. Yeah, I think the one thing I liked about the mech is it's got two primary weapons on your right and left. And like the right one drops a bunch of grenades and the left one's kind of like rockets. And then I've got the left arm upgraded to like a big nuke that just does massive area of damage. So I,
Mm-hmm.
I really like that. So I can't wait to get that baby maxed out.
Oh yeah. No, I 100% agree, man. That's I think that kind of completed our set when we were playing with Layden with the siren, myself with the I guess the gun expert, if you will. And then I was building up the assassin class, so it was even more specific to killing people. It would start giving me buffs and all that kind of stuff. But then, when you were playing with Flak, it was like we didn't have the hammer involved, right? We didn't have anybody that was going in there and doing just massive amounts of DPS. So when you did switch over to the Mac, even when we're redoing levels and all that stuff, that was pretty awesome, right? I mean, I think it gave the component that we needed where we had between you and Layden working the inside, I could work the outside perimeter. Great. It really kind of fleshed out the team, in my opinion.
Yeah, I know when I was playing single player there for a little bit, I got to the boss in Jacob's Manor. That was kind of a pain in the butt, and you logged on, and we kind of pushed through that. But
Mm-hmm.
man, that guy was difficult. And so, like single player, until you get stuff maxed out a lot higher and get those premium guns, man, it's something for sure.
Yeah. Well, I thought what was pretty cool and interesting, um, we did get, I hate it one time that you reset and you started back up, but I thought it played pretty well with the mixed levels. And I know that was one of the big hype things about Borderlands 3 that made it stand out from the others. That if you pick up a buddy that is at a different set of levels, it was still playable. And I would agree with that. Like, I didn't notice any difference. I know you were playing from the lower character level at that time, but I didn't notice a significant difference. Like, you weren't being helpful, you weren't helping out the team, all that kind of stuff. So, what was your thoughts playing from that other side?
They definitely did a great job on that, from what I could tell. Yes, I didn't have everything unlocked on Moe's, but my gun damage was there. I was still able to do some pretty good damage with the mech.
Mm-hmm.
And like you said, it seemed pretty seamless. I was looking at you guys streaming and seeing your levels, and it was all the psychos and everything was I think around 20s, which I was at, and I was at like 10,
Mm-hmm.
and it scaled perfectly. So they definitely did a good job, and I hope other games implement that kind of stuff.
Sure. So one of the other big hype things that were brought up before the game launched and that we talked about quite a bit as we are looking at the reviews, not only the level mix matching, right? That was pretty cool. I thought that was a great job. I think that's going to make the game infinitely more playable to play with friends, which this game is all about, right? There's nothing in Borderlands that makes Borderlands than being able to play with friends. And I think that really accomplishes that. The second thing that they really touted a lot was the loot, right? So there would always be loot. There we can avoid loot ninjas that aren't just going to rip you off and so on and so forth. So what was your initial feelings about how the loot scaled and so on and so forth?
Oh, it was definitely awesome for the bosses, and it it sucked if you was down and they just killed the boss and you see the explosion of loot and you're over there dying while everybody's going and getting all that good stuff and you're like, oh man, well, drop your stuff that you don't like and I'll pilfer through that. So
Uh-huh.
it was definitely nice for everybody to go and pick that legendary rocket launcher up and be able to use it. So that was what I love to see, and I want to see more of that for
Hmm.
sure.
So I thought that was great for the leveling and being able to get a share in the guns or share in the take, if you will, because that was definitely lacking before where man like it was just whoever was faster was gonna get the stuff. I mean there's it you can't say it any other way than that.
Yeah,
Well
you
this
run up there and there's nothing worse than you beating somebody to like, yeah, I'm gonna get this gun, and then you're full, and then they come snake it.
yeah, and then it's gone. That's right. So that was pretty cool, I thought, to see. The one thing I would say about the loot, I was a little disappointed with, but I can't say it was measurable that like I'm gonna complain about it too much. And that is the ammo loot, I thought was a little lackluster because that was not just as shared as friendly as all the guns were. Did you
Yeah,
experience that as well? Were you running up to empty boxes quite a bit?
man, I did a little bit, but with the mech, that kind of helped
Hmm.
offset me just going through thousands of rounds because
Hmm.
while that was going on, people were dying, boxes were coming up, so I didn't have too much problem with it.
Hmm.
But when I was single player, I did.
Right. So I kind of felt that way. Like, in fact, like most of my damage was coming from shooting, right? So I would pick out a certain round of guns, and I kept feeling like I was running out of ammo too early with those specific guns that I really played with.
Do you
Not
think
necessarily just loading up on the shotgun or whatnot, but I really leveled up the SMG level gun, and I got the ammo clips up really, really high. And I felt like I was playing at a half a clip part of the way through the game.
is it one of those they want you to run four different guns, like so you don't run into those problems?
Yeah, I think so, and I did that as well. And that's something to be said too, because right, you have to buy up your clip percentages. But at the point that I was just over 20 or something, I had the SMG clip where it was holding 800 or 900 rounds or something like that. Right, my other guns haven't leveled up that far. I hadn't got enough loot to get up that far yet, and they weren't. They were nowhere near that level. Right, so even if I were um, using all four guns, the other three wouldn't be as full, and I think I would have went through ammo just as quick until I get those capacities leveled up.
I just,
So
I just wonder if it's going to be a lot of upgrades later where you shoot potentially gaining bullets per hit.
yeah, I did have some of those in my class, and it helped out some as I started unlocking those options. But it was just right away, like I didn't have the I felt like I was just too short of ammo. Not that I was being wasteful, but it got me to where I'm playing a shooting character, and I'm like, I don't want to gun this guy down. Let me switch over and use this other weapon. And that was only lightly concerning to me. It was just something I had to manage more than I thought I should have. Especially, I mean, this level of game. Like, if you haven't played it, it's just a constant chaos of explodes. You're basically at my character at least. I was basically anytime a fight started, my fingers on the shoot button, and it doesn't let off until the match is over, right? Or until you kill the boss or the mini boss that goes with it.
Maybe they're just trying to push critical hits for headshots or finding those sweet spots on
Hmm.
people to kill them down because they definitely seem bigger bullet sponges in this game than the prior ones.
Yeah, and that was so in that chaotic mode. We like the splodes. You don't play Borderlands without some of that stuff. I will tell you that's something I noticed is when we got into playing when probably around 18, I think it might have been 17, where we started unlocking some of these guns, right, that just had all these explosive rounds in it. And I would go into a round and I started unloading, and the whole screen was one big whitewash of fire. I'm like, I had no idea. I can remember Layden go, I don't know what's going on. You have no idea how many enemies are there because it's just all big one whitewash of fire.
Yeah. Also, they push grenades more in this game than the prior ones too, because
Mhm.
I've used more grenades in this week than I have in the last two Borderlands combined.
Yeah. No, and that is definitely sure because that is one of my class attributes that it starts feeding me grenades, and even like if I shoot a bullet, it can come attached with a missile on it. And that, like, I would, once I got my grenade capacity up to like 8 grenades, I would go through and I was literally throwing 30 and 40 grenades in a round because it would auto refill. I'm
Good
like,
lord.
holy crap. Yeah.
Yeah. My class has got also a perk on it with grenades where if you hit them, it heals you X percentage. So that's pretty nice. So that helps motivate me to throw them babies all the time.
Now, if I could just drop my 8 pack of grenades to you and refill them, you'd stay healed.
I wonder if there is a shield that drops grenades if you get hit.
Man, I don't know. I did say, I know one of the perks that I got at one time on Zane gave me like a shield if I crouched. I thought that was pretty cool. I don't even know what it was because I kept switching the perks around and playing with different things. But that was a pretty cool little bonus perk there because when we got to the big bosses, man, my guy's a little soft. So when I'm shooting back and they'd start targeting me in the back, especially those rounds where we were down a hallway and the main dude's up on a stage down the hallway and you just poked your head out and you got blown up. Like that was great that I could step out with the shield on there, take one hit before it just decimated me, get a shot off, and get back under cover.
Yeah, for sure. But
So
yeah,
overall, before we go on to that, what was your single most favorite thing about the game after getting onto it for a little bit?
listen to the Claptrap. That's my
Oh
boy.
man,
I don't care what
man,
anybody
man,
says.
man.
Claptrap is my boy, and I remember watching videos where he's got a little Claptrap girlfriend, and I started on that quest. And I found
Uh-huh.
it, but I hadn't seen it yet. But yeah, Claptrap, man, I just enjoy seeing the environment, everything that's going on out there. I do appreciate that they got psycho girls now in there, so I
Mm-hmm.
want to see some of that cosplay in the future.
Yep.
But yeah, the guns, and I think I'd have to say switching the scopes and the elements on one gun, so you don't have to have two different guns for two different elements. You could get lucky and get it all in once. Because
Mm-hmm.
I mean, that plays a significant role in this game. Is the proper element for what you're going against.
Well, so far into the game, um, on guns because that's the big thing, right? That is it's hard to see the class attributes nearly as much as it is to quickly see the advantage of having the right guns, right? But what are your let's say your top three favorite guns that you played with that you enjoyed the most?
TDR for sure.
All right, which one? Tell me what it did. I know there's 8,000 names. We're not going to have all those today, but what type of gun or what did it do that made you really like it?
Well, that's the one that you had. Was that the shotgun? Was that the TDR?
Yeah, man, I don't remember now.
They
The
just seemed like
crazy.
it just seemed more advanced. You know,
Hmm.
you could shoot crazier with them. I believe that was a shotgun you had, wasn't it? I don't know, but the TDR seemed to be the best. I know Jacobs. I didn't really care for those at all.
Hmm.
I know they're old school style inspired, and I just got one from the Jacobs Manor, the shotgun.
Uh-huh.
I tried it. It's slow. It maybe has something to do with my level. Other than that, man, I can't really nail it. Really, maybe Atlas.
Okay. And what did you like about the shotgun um, thing? If you had to pick something off the top of your head.
Well, with the shotgun, the one you had, it
Hmm.
did the pattern of waves, so that's pretty good. But you can't really focus in on critical. But I'm terrible with guns, so it kind of helped
Hmm.
me kill things.
Hmm.
Knowing I'm getting a good bunch of spread damage everywhere. But the fact that the whole guns with legs, that sucker would run around and keep shooting. So essentially, you could
Yeah.
shoot once, reload, you got another gun running, shoot,
Hmm.
reload, another gun running. And then, like kind of like what you brought up when you're going down a hallway, you can throw turrets on the wall. They don't run; they stick to the wall. So that's pretty cool. So I definitely want to see what happens when you get level 50 guns. How crazy
Hmm.
they get because that was 24.
Yeah. Yeah, and that was for sure. I mean, I would agree with that. To me, that was the standout gun that I played with because it had so many components. It was a fire weapon, but when you fired it, it was like a pattern that drew a box, right? It's like a spread pattern. So I made the mention in the game. I was like, oh yeah, this is like when you're playing Super Contra and you had that spreader shotgun. That's the way it felt like, except for it shot, a vertical line, then a horizontal line, then another vertical line, and then another horizontal line until it drew kind of a box. And I was like, whoa, that's pretty cool. That's pretty dope, right? I mean, it was just a whole different, it was a whole different uh, uh, shoot pattern that I have never thought of. And it just pretty much covered up everything you were shooting at. And then, yeah, I mean, the pattern or the turret part where it jumped down on the ground and it ran to the enemy and just kept gunning them down. It would go, I liked it because it would target the enemies if they were behind a corner or you're walking up and into an unknown area. You just throw a couple of those things out, which, it does that every time it reloads, like normal TDR stuff. And it would chase them down. It would help discover where the enemies are. And as you said, that turret where you could slap it up on a wall, slap it on a ceiling, and it would basically give you a 360 coverage point right there. Which, I mean, how do you beat that? That's
Oh
just
yeah,
awesome.
that was awesome. I also got to give it out to the children of the vault guns, man. Those
Mhm,
things, the ones that I've had, seem overpowered. Like
mhm,
they do significant damage compared to all the other stuff I was using. It's just
mhm,
they've got that cooldown rate, so you've got to have it set up to where you max it out, and right before it blows up on you, you got to switch guns. But you do some serious damage with some of those, so that would probably be my second favorite gun on that.
mhm. Yeah, I think so. And that was, is that the ones that have all the chainsaws and stuff
Yeah,
to them?
yeah.
Yeah.
Like
So
they
those,
overheat, you dump water on them.
yeah, dude. That's where I was gonna go. That they just crack me up. The little animations, it's just so Borderlands. They've never done that before, but that was 100% Borderlands feel to it when you had essentially you got this chainsaw motor that you pull start or you turn key start it, and it started the engine up on the gun like it's spinning the thing around, with the engine like that, which we know is a little crazy, but it's kind of fun. That little animation was fun. But then as you would sit there and just unload them and overheat, they'd either pull out a water bottle and dump it on there to cool it down, or it would pull out a water gun and shoot the thing to cool it down.
Yeah,
Just, dude, that was crazy.
Bladen had a gun that had the intake on the right side, and on the other side was the camshaft turning, so that was pretty cool.
Dude, yeah, that's dope. Yep, yep. And that, well, I just the only thing I half expected after I saw those animations, and maybe you get it with the level 50 gun, I was expecting it to overheat and then him pull out the wang and just piss all over it. That's 100% what I expect.
Oh
At
man,
some point.
got to tone it down a little bit, right?
Yeah, I know. Well, I didn't have to have a graphic visual, but just the idea of it. But so that goes as far as kind of what we thought about, just some of our initial thoughts, and we'll jump into some of these updates. So they've got the September 9th Borderlands 3 hot fixes. So in the bug fixes, they've got yellow paint has been added to the amber mire to mark more obvious path to complete sabotage crew challenge. Okay. The new U station in front of the Halcyon suborbital spaceship used during the space laser tag mission in the Meridian Metro Complex now has a larger activation range. Okay, that's cool. The new U station in front of Titan's Gate used during the Atlas at last mission in the Meridian Metroplex now has a larger activation range. Okay. The first Guardian a player runs into during the Beneath the Meridian mission is no longer overleveled. Okay. And the Iridian chest by the grotto in Jacob's estate is no longer invisible. Okay. Well, that'll help.
Yeah, it's good to see what you're trying to find.
Yep. Hey, but I will have to say, like, I am straight up not going to complain because you look at um, the very few hot fixes that had to go into place on that. Um, think about other games as they come out, how many hundreds and hundreds of hot
Oh
fixes
God.
you go through on each update.
Yeah, I would say
So,
the only problem I actually ran into was I had to find SIG, I think's what it was, and it wasn't showing up on the map. So I had to
uh huh.
YouTube it, and the guy had the same problem. Once you got close, it showed him.
Mm-hmm.
So that
I
was the
got
only
you.
issue I found so far.
Okay. So the next part, what about the bug fixes? Have you run into problems with those yourself? Is that going to be a measurable help for you?
I really haven't noticed any.
Yeah, I don't. I think when you're talking about these little specific things, when you deal with the chaos of the game, and like I say, you're fighting into a big wall of fire, and you will. I know Layden brought this complaint up, and I did as well. That so much stuff is blowing up. Like a lot of times, you're just team firing and shooting the shit out of your teammate, and and
Okay.
it's because it's so chaotic,
Yeah,
right?
I've done that a few times, especially
Oh yeah,
the flak pet.
yeah. If there was legitimate like team damage on this, then we would be in trouble. We wouldn't make it through the first level. I'm pretty certain.
Yeah, no doubt.
All right, so we got that now. Going into the balance updates, here's what we got: iridium crystals in the voracious canopy grow less frequently. Okay. The amount of loot drops have been scaled down in mayhem mode. Well, we don't like
Yeah,
loot drop decreases, but
no.
Torque shotgun sticky damage has been reduced. Oh, come on now.
And see, that sucks because, man, I was doing some of that, and that was my go-to on some things.
Mm-hmm. And then we've got, let's see, E-Tech shotgun elemental damage has been reduced from flesh off your bones to a lot. Okay. I don't know if I like that because I kind of like flesh off your bones. And then Chupacabra dropped too much in of his hard-earned loot. Then we adjusted spawn rate of loot, tinks, and mission. They're special again. And remove pain sounds from Troy for his boss fight. Okay. So, fairly minor. It looks like they took down some damage, is the biggest thing on the balance updates, that they thought the guns were a little bit too hard hitting. And, going back to our earlier talking point, if you're playing with a team, I don't disagree. And this game is made to be played with a team. So I'm not really going to gripe about that. But I do have to say, keep in mind, not all the time you're going to play with the team. And I don't like losing damage when I'm out there solo.
Yeah, I think the biggest impact for people I've seen on YouTube is the big loot tink was the go-to for getting your good loot.
Mm-hmm.
So that's going to suck for a lot of people.
Yeah. Okay. So, got a couple updates. I hope you guys enjoyed the show. Please let us know what you thought about it, what you think about the game. If you want to hear some more breakdown, we've got plenty of other characters to level out and still got quite a few characters to go. And to throw a shameless plug out there, Kid and I are going to be participating in a charity event on November 2nd and 3rd for Extra Life, supporting the Children's Miracle Networks. We're going to do a 25-hour stream that day, along with many, many other people. So feel free to tune into us on our streams or come by, drop in, and say hi just in chat or on any of our socials to come by and support the cause and just hang out with us. We're going to have a good day for a 25-hour stream. I say 24 hours, but it comes on daylight savings time change. So the hour sets back while we're in the middle of the streaming session. So we actually go for 25 hours.
Yep, so absolutely. So go ahead, drop us a follow on Twitch, Kid Rolla and Dragon X, and we look forward to seeing you on there. Be sure to drop by, say hi, and tell us we're a bunch of jacklegs.
That's right. Until then, we'll holler at you next time.
Later.
And that's all we got to talk about today, folks. This is Drag.
And this is Kid. If you enjoyed our cast, make sure and check out our website, follow our socials. We love feedback. You give it, we'll talk about it.
You can find us at kidindrag.chat on our website. For Twitter, it's dragkidin. For Instagram, it is Kid and Drag. Same for Facebook, Kid and Drag. We take feedback on all of those social platforms, and we'll see you next time.
Later.